striping on YouTube. So I'm out here at a client's property and I wanted to show you an update for a planting that we did just before Christmas. So that would have been 4 months ago, almost 4 months ago. We don't have irrigation here, so they've had to hand water. So what we decided to do was mulch heavy, plant the main tree species in, so they only have a little bit they have to hand water. And then what we're doing now is coming back and filling in the ground level and some of the other support species layers now that we're getting closer to the rainy season. The mulch has been rained on a few times, it's nice and moist, and we can see where kind of the gaps are in the system. Everything's looking pretty good so far. I think they lost like one tree because we did have some colder weather than usual and we had a baby tree that got nipped on that. But everything else looks really good. All the bananas have come up. All the Mexican sunflowers coming up. We just put cuttings in this case. The cassavas are coming up. All the fruit trees are looking good. I see flowers on the raw sapote here. I see new growth on the mango. Generally everything's looking great. So pardon me about the wind. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but it's really windy right now. This is April when I'm shooting this right now. April, really March, April, May in Southwest Florida is a tough time of the year. It's warm, so people get excited and want to plant, but it's also generally very windy and dry. So when you get excited to plant and you plant now and you don't have any way of watering things, you can catch yourself out sometimes. That's why I usually try to prevent people from planting unless they want to just hand water a little bit of an area, or they have an irrigation system, or we're developing an irrigation system for them. In this case, this is a new site. If you look behind me, house isn't built yet, the pole barn's up, but there's no power and water here. So we're kind of making strides, but trying to make them slowly and smartly on this project. And I think what we're going to do today when the client gets here is look at how we can kind of replicate this food forest style model and just extend a few other areas using the mulch that they're getting for free and not having to use irrigation. So there's a few nuances to that. Big part of it, species selection. Another big part is timing when you plant, the maintenance. So there may be some hand watering up front. There may be some remulching to make sure that things get going and get established. On a site like this, it's big and flat. More than likely the water table comes right up to the surface. The owners are new to this site, so they don't know exactly how wet it gets, but from talking to other neighbors, it doesn't get completely underwater. So we felt comfortable enough planting in here with just making small mounds for the trees and making depression. We made pits and mounds here, so we have like a banana circle in the middle of each one of these cells. If any of you guys follow me on Instagram, I did a whole series of videos about this, but it never made it to YouTube because I didn't have anyone helping me edit my videos back then. But now I do. So shout out to you, Casey, Seabud, for helping me out with these videos and getting me more consistent. Now that we're here, let's take a look at a few things and see what's growing. All right, so here's an example of a banana circle here. This was all really piled high and it's already starting to collapse a little bit. In this particular banana circle, we have the dwarf Nemois variety. And if you look, you can see right here, when I brought them here, it was just a cut off right here. It was just the corm and the beginning of the stem, and I cut it off. Same thing over there, you can kind of see where the very tip of it is. All this growth has happened since I brought it here. So since it's been here in the ground, even during the winter time, it's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, going on 6 leaves, which is a really good sign. That means it's getting enough food and moisture, and it's been warm enough for it to push and not have any setbacks with cold weather. So that's encouraging to see that here. This wasn't a particularly cold winter, but we did have fairly consistent cool patterns. It's nice to see the bananas really thriving here, and it's encouraging for them to be able to probably plant a lot more. This is the one that surprised me that it actually didn't make it, is this strawberry tree. Usually these are bomb-proof for me. So either this one got overwatered or it got nipped by the cold and it just couldn't make it through. I'm not really sure, but we're gonna replace this tree. And this is a must-have, especially if you've got kids. This is one that you got to put in there. in Southwest Florida. The little red berries taste like cotton candy, and it grows really fast, and it's fun to climb, and you can cut it back and it'll regrow, and it's just a really tough tree. Poor example because it didn't make it through a cold snap, I guess, but definitely one to have in your collection. Over here we've got Sapodilla. This is the Silas Woods. So we chose the Silas Woods because it's a compact, productive variety of Sapodilla. There's a miracle fruit back in there. What do we have? Some sweet almond verbena. Some papayas coming up in here. Like I said before, we're going to be filling this in with ground covers and stuff today, so that's what we're here for. There's a black Suriname cherry over there. This is an ice cream bean. This one, I think it got nipped a little bit by the cold, but the nice thing about the ice cream bean is that they do resprout. So this one got nipped, but I mean, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sprouts coming up. So they're going to have the option to either remove all but one and have one main tree, or they might just want to have a cool looking ice cream bean bush. More papayas in here. We've got an Indian jujube. That was a special request. Those are hard to get right now for some reason. They're hard to propagate, so a little bit more expensive in the nursery. That was one that she specifically asked for. More sweet almond, Cattleya guava, obviously the banana circle in the middle. And then we have on this side, I like to put these calliandras in there. They're just really pretty powder puff flowers, and they fit nitrogen, and they bring in different wildlife and things. Black sapote. This one's got flowers all over it, which I don't know if it'll actually hold a fruit. I doubt it'll hold a fruit this year, but it's pretty encouraging to see the flowers on it right away. Fiddlewood, really nice smelling flowers, native. This is actually a collection of bananas, so there's 3 different varieties in here. That's why they have the pink tags on them. We've got a nice mulberry here. I believe that's the white mulberry. Peanut butter fruit back there. Star fruit. We put that one kind of in the shade, so it gets morning light, and then it's kind of protected. Over here we have the raw sapote. We've got a mango on the far side and a loquat in here, and then we have the banana circle in the middle. So pretty cool. And then on this side over here we had this clump of cabbage palms, and we decided to just kind of fill it in with some natives. We put some elderberry in here, the cocoa plum, some wax myrtles. I think there's moringa in here, and then there's some firebush. So mostly natives, not all, but just wanted to kind of fill it in and have this little screen, because we're just trying to create a little bit of privacy from over there. As you're coming in, you're not looking straight into the house. It looks like the mulch is holding pretty well. I do see a little bit of grass trying to peek up here and there. And one of the strategies we're going to have now is to put in some of these ground covers like sweet potato around the edges, and hopefully dominate, you know, have the ground cover grow out into the grass rather than the grass grow into the bed. So that's what we're going to lay out here. I'll show you real quick what we have in the back of the truck, and then I'm going to get started on laying it out. So I put as much as I could fit in this truck. I don't have a big trailer right now, but this is all out of my nursery. Okinawa spinach, Ceylon spinach, Brazilian spinach, a special variety of sweet potato. We got sugarloaf, pineapples, malanga, Everglade tomatoes, and then a bunch of sugar cane in there. So that's what we're gonna fill in with today. I'll probably come back, because we're gonna be doing more on this project site in the future. I'll probably come back with more like nitrogen fixing trees. I have a bunch of those started, but they're not ready. But we'll have pigeon pea, lebbek, lucena, maybe some more inga. I'm not sure or not. The other thing we're going to do next along this entire property line is a big windbreak, actually all the way across the north, around the pond, and then all the way across this whole side. We were waiting on the irrigation, so can't do much with it yet. Anyway, that's happening right now. I'm going to start laying this out. So as I said before, we have a main species already planted in, and all I'm doing is bringing in the understory and some of the filler species, and there's still more to do here, but we're kind of working with the part of the year that we're in right now. We're still in a dry season, so we don't want to go nuts, but we've had a lot of good rain here, so this heavy mulching that we did, you know, we've got nice wet wood chips here. I feel comfortable with putting in a bunch of this stuff. So what you'll see, all these main trees, in this case is the jujube, I've got a selection of perennial vegetable edible greens, and in this case we have Okinawa spinach, Brazilian spinach, and Suriname spinach. I've kind of done them in little trios, or 3 or 4 or 5 around each tree. The Brazilian spinach I'm tending to put closer to where it's going to get a little more shade. The Okinawa spinach tends to grow about 2 feet tall and then fill the area. And then the Suriname spinach, it can be a dense fill, but it also seeds itself. So having it through here, hopefully it'll start to seed around and we'll have it in more places. I've also added in the sweet potato. If I had more, I would have put them closer to the edge and started to buffer that edge, but I didn't bring enough. I'm going to actually come back with more later. But I decided to scooch them in and try to fill up the ground space in the middle of these beds. And then out here in the full sun, up here you can see there's full sun. We put in a few sugar cane through here, same thing on this side. The reason we did that is because we want a little bit of privacy from the neighbors, so we're trying to put up a little bit more of a screening effect with the sugar cane. Malangas I've tucked back closer to the shade. And then the tomatoes, I put those actually all the way around just on the outside edge of the play area, because I know that the client's son is gonna really love these, and I wanted to put his browsing tomatoes just on the edge of the bed so he doesn't have to climb through and, you know, stomp on other plants on his way to get to his regular forage. So same thing over here. Sweet potato, malangas kind of scattered in here. The greens are all planted around the main trees. The idea being of getting a nice dense ground cover around the trees to suppress weeds, filling up the areas with the sweet potato. We're actually going to come back with some cowpea, and we're going to stack more mulch around these edges, and we're thinking about coming out here and actually tilling a kind of a perimeter around the whole thing, and then putting out sun hemp and having a big biomass bank right along the edges that we can cut and cast back into the middle. Next thing we're going to do, last time I was here we ran out of mulch, so we didn't get to finish mulching over these paths. You can see they're starting to grow back. So now that the mulch pile is built back up, we're going to come in here, cover all that, and then the next phase is going to be through this region here. So we're going to kind of use these existing palms as the nucleus and kind of build up a guild around each one. And there'll probably be a little path that goes through there and through there, but it'll be kind of one big continuous bed, similarly to what this is here. And we're just trying to make it a low maintenance system. We're planting it hopefully right before the rainy season so that it establishes well and it doesn't need to be irrigated all the time. We're trying to use species that we know will grow here and that will survive and thrive without being babied so much. As the site gets developed, there's going to be other areas with, you know, near the house where they can have annual beds and they can have irrigated orchard crops if they'd like. But this is kind of getting them started, making sure they've got food in the ground and they have something when they get moved in here. Oh, the last thing I didn't mention was the yams. I brought a whole bunch of these over. They're already starting to sprout in here. What we're going to do is plant a few of them around the drip edge of this oak tree, and then we're going to run either string or bamboo poles up into the canopy so that the yam has something to climb up and get established. All right, so that's a wrap for this one. Plants are delivered. Client meeting is good. We know what we're going to do moving forward, and I'm going to head home. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.